All right, ladies and gentlemen, I always treasure the time that I have with Ralph Peters, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, because he knows more than anybody when it comes to the issues of the day and what we talk to him about. But also he's a friend and a hell of a nice guy and a great novelist, and his books are just get the best reviews. They win awards, and rightfully so. His latest is Valley of the Shadow, a novel. It's a gripping historical fiction novel, if you will, and it's Civil War centered and talks about heroes of the Civil War that we don't even know about. You will know about them after you read the book. Ralph, welcome, sir.
Hey, always great to speak with you, Steve.
Well,
great audience.
Well, you're just great. They love hearing from you, and I want to get to the book, and we're going to do the whole thing on the book. But I just want to ask you, I don't even know the name of the Al-Qaeda leader we hit. I'm not saying he's not important.
Ali al-Ansi.
Okay, so I'm sure he's important, and I'm sure you know everything about him. And I'm glad they tell us. But to me, this doesn't take away from the fact that we're doing nothing about ISIS, that we're not proactive, that we're not supporting the people who are begging for our help, hardware-wise and otherwise. And to me, it's just making these announcements. They hope to take the focus off the fact that we're doing nothing.
Well, it's sort of, I compare it, and other people use this analogy as well, but our struggle with Islamist fanaticism, with whether it is Islamic State or Al-Qaeda in its new incarnations, or Taliban, or the Khorasan Front, or any of the other groups that are active, Jabhat al-Nusra, what we're doing is trying to cure malignant cancer by shaving off little bits of the tumor and hoping it just gets better on its own.
Right.
Well, terrorism truly is like a cancer. If you do not conduct radical surgery on a malignant tumor, it will spread. And President Obama has been utterly willing to do the major surgery required anywhere. And so, although we're doing bits and pieces, and that's fine, it's better than nothing. It's not much better than nothing, because the cancer of Islamist fanaticism and terrorism and militancy continues to spread. Now, did it matter to get this guy? Yes. Anytime you can kill the equivalent of a senior general in a terrorist organization,
right,
which is what Ali al-Ansi was, that's a good thing. And you've got to keep killing him. And you got to kill a lot more than we're killing. But you have to have a long-term strategic plan for how effectively to kill them, who you need as allies, who are your secret enemies,
yep,
who can you trust, who can't you trust.
Yep.
Obama is just so determined to do as little as possible just to get through the end of his presidency that we have seen an explosion of radical Islamist militancy without precedent. It is just stunning.
Right, and he's admitted in the fight against ISIS, for instance, that he can't do it in his presidency. It's going to have to be kicked. I want to get to the book now. Valley of the Shadow, and this is a retelling of the 1864, the Shenandoah Valley campaign. I read many reviews. They're calling it a must-read for Civil War history fans. I'll go further. I think it's a must-read for Ralph Peters fans and for anybody who loves a good, historical fiction novel.
Yeah. Well, Steve, thank you. I'm trying to do a couple things. One, I'm trying to write Civil War novels that are really dramatized history, that are much more accurate and realistic than the novels in the past. I mean, if you want candy-coated romantic views of the past, where everybody talks like a Victorian parson, do not buy my books. You will be offended, because the soldiers talk as though they really did. I mean, these professional Army officers, North and South, who spent a decade out fighting the Plains Indians in these posts where the problems are drunkenness and gonorrhea, they didn't speak like Victorian parsons. Some were noble, some never cursed. Others certainly did. I'm just using that as an example. I mean, I'm trying to get at the reality of the war and to bring it alive again for Americans, because that 4 years, from 61 to 65, 750,000 Americans died. And we need to understand the kind of sacrifices that were made in the past that shaped this country. And, oh, by the way, it's also a fascinating story. It covers, again, the fighting primarily in the Shenandoah Valley in 1864, starts with a daring Confederate raid that almost seizes Washington in July 1864, near the end of the war. The end of the war is 9 months away, and they almost took Washington, saved at the last minute by an incredibly brave stand by General Lew Wallace, who was in disfavor. He'd been consigned to the rear at Baltimore. He gathers up all the clerks and jerks he can, gets a small reinforcement at the last minute, outnumbered 3 or 4 to 1. He fights a battle on the Monocacy in Maryland. He knows he's going to lose. He knows he's going to lose, but he's buying time for reinforcements to come. And he buys a day. And the Confederates reach the outskirts of Washington. They can see the newly finished Capitol Dome. And just as they can see the dome, the Confederates are ready to attack. The Union Sixth Corps files into the ramparts to stop them.
Wow.
Incredible. And that's where it starts. Then you get the Shenandoah Valley fighting with Phil Sheridan, Jubal Early, a 24-year-old cavalry general, a brilliant, dashing young man named George Armstrong Custer. You get former Vice President Breckinridge on the Confederate side, 2 future U.S. presidents, Rutherford B. Hayes and William McKinley fighting as officers on the Union side. And Rutherford B. Hayes, who we forget now, he was an incredibly brave, conscientious officer, made the decisive decision that won the desperate battle of 3rd Winchester. And we don't, Americans, again, you don't know the names of these battles. They know Monocacy, 3rd Winchester, Fisher's Hill,
Right.
What's that? You might know Cedar Creek, but we need to know them.
No, and that's
everybody
the
knows Sherman's
beauty,
March
yeah.
to the Sea. Let me tell you, the burning of the Shenandoah Valley in 1864 was much more brutal than what Sherman did in
And Ralph, the passion with which you're talking about it has to make anybody want to read it. And again, rave reviews for Valley of the Shadow, Ralph Peters' latest, and pick it up, folks. So you will not be sorry. Ralph, great to talk to you, sir. Best of luck with the book, and we'll speak to you soon.
Great.
All right, Ralph Peters, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, the Malzberg political panel. Don't go away.